Even when the Egyptian pyramids were being built, some civilizations had already vanished 1,000 years earlier. They're so ancient that even people in antiquity told legends about them. Today, only stones and questions remain. 10 lost civilizations, 10 unsolved mysteries. 12,000 years ago, before the agricultural revolution had even begun, something incredible happened in southeastern Anatolia. A hunter-gatherer community lifted stones weighing up to 20 tons and built a massive temple complex, Göbekli Tepe. But here's the strange part. These people hadn't even transitioned to settled life. They had no writing, didn't know the wheel. So how did they organize? How did they build such a complex structure? Archaeologists discovered more than 20 temple circles. Each consists of giant T-shaped stones. Foxes, snakes, vultures, lions are carved on them. And most importantly, why did they suddenly abandon it? They deliberately buried the temples with soil, as if performing a farewell ceremony. They buried everything in an orderly manner and never returned. The question of who built Göbekli Tepe remains unanswered. Some scientists think this was a religious center. Perhaps this was a sacred place where different groups met. But one thing is certain. 12,000 years ago in Anatolia, there was a society far more advanced than history books tell us. Between 3,300 and 1,300 before Christ, an advanced civilization existed in what is now Pakistan and India, as ancient as Egypt and Mesopotamia, but far more organized. In the cities of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, there were perfect sewage systems. All houses had toilets and bathrooms. Dirty water was carried out of the city through closed channels. This system was so advanced that similar systems in Europe weren't built until the 19th century. Cities were grid-planned. Streets intersected at right angles. Buildings were constructed from standardized bricks. Their population is estimated at 5 million. The Indus Valley people had a writing system, but no one can decipher this writing. They used more than 400 different symbols. What did they write? What language did they speak? We don't know. And the greatest mystery, in 1,300 before Christ, they suddenly disappeared. Not a single weapon, not a single fortress remains. There's no trace of warfare. Why did this civilization vanish? Climate change? Did the Indus River change its course? Drought? Nobody knows. Emerging in southern Mexico around 1,400 before Christ, the Olmecs are considered the mother civilization of Mesoamerica. They can be thought of as ancestors to the Maya and Aztecs. The Olmecs developed a calendar system. They used the number 0, but their greatest works are the giant stone heads, up to 3 meters tall, carved from basalt stones weighing 50 tons. 17 have been found so far. Each has different facial features, as if they made portraits of real people. Large lips, wide noses, helmet-like headpieces. But the nearest basalt quarry is 100 kilometers away. Mountainous terrain, rivers, forests. How did they transport these massive stones? What technology did they use? And who do these heads represent? Olmec kings? Their gods? Some theories are even more interesting but not scientific. The helmet-like headpieces and facial features on the heads lead to debates. Around 400 before Christ, the Olmecs also disappeared. Their cities were abandoned, their traces vanished. But they left a legacy. The Maya and Aztecs continued their systems. It's in the American Southwest, between 100 and 1,300 after Christ. The Anasazi people left incredible structures carved into cliffs. The cliff dwellings at Mesa Verde, 150-room structures carved into rocks. The great houses at Chaco Canyon, 5-story buildings. Pueblo Bonito, a massive complex consisting of 800 rooms and 32 kivas. Thousands lived there. The Anasazi people were an advanced society. They built irrigation systems. They grew corn, beans, squash. They were experts in ceramics. They traded. Turquoise stones, seashells, parrot feathers. Trade networks extended all the way to Mexico. They observed the stars. They predicted solar eclipses. However, in the 1300s, they all suddenly left. They abandoned their homes, belongings, everything. Why? Some theories suggest drought. Between 1,276 and 1,299, a severe drought occurred. Some theories suggest war. Conflicts with neighboring tribes occurred. Some theories suggest cannibalism. Cooking marks were found on human bones at some sites. But there's no definitive answer. Even the Pueblo people, descendants of the Anasazi, don't know why their ancestors left. The Greek island of Santorini, around 1,600 before Christ, an incredible explosion occurred. The Thera volcano erupted. The power of this eruption was equivalent to 40,000 atomic bombs. Half the island sank into the sea. 100-meter tsunami waves swept the Mediterranean. But before the eruption, there was an advanced city here called Akrotiri. This Minoan city had multi-story buildings, 3-story, some even 4-story structures. Walls were covered with colorful fresco paintings. Dolphins, antelopes, boxers, ships, women. These paintings are so vivid you can see the Minoans' lives. There were advanced water systems, hot and cold water plumbing, toilets, sewage, and all this in 1600 before Christ. Like Pompeii, it was perfectly preserved under volcanic ash. But the greatest mystery is this: not a single body was found in the city. No valuables. The entire population managed to escape before the eruption. But how did they know? Perhaps there were earthquakes. Perhaps the volcano gave warning. But where did they go? And what happened to the Minoans? The Thera eruption ended Minoan civilization. And another question, did the legend of Atlantis originate from Akrotiri? The 4th century before Christ, the Nabateans emerged in the deserts of Jordan and built an incredible city carved into rocks, Petra. The treasury, a magnificent structure 40 meters high carved into pink stone, a mixture of Greek, Roman, and Egyptian architecture. The monastery, a massive structure reached after climbing 800 steps. The amphitheater, with a capacity of 8,000 people, all carved into rock. But the Nabateans' greatest achievement was water management. How did 30,000 people live in the middle of the desert? With water, they built sophisticated water channels. They collected rainwater. They stored it in cisterns. They built water channels kilometers long. They grew wealthy from trade on the Silk Road. Spices, silk, gold. Everything passed through Petra. In 106 after Christ, the Romans conquered Petra. But the city maintained its importance. In 363 after Christ, a major earthquake occurred. Buildings were damaged. Water systems collapsed. People began to leave. By 700 after Christ, Petra was completely abandoned. The desert swallowed the city. In 1812, Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt rediscovered Petra. The Western world was shocked. Where did the Nabateans go? Did they settle in other cities? Did they completely disappear? Only Petra remained, a masterpiece carved into pink rocks. In Bolivia, near Lake Titicaca, the Tiwanaku civilization existed between 300 and 1000 after Christ. At 3,800 meters altitude, where oxygen levels are low, in a place where human life is nearly impossible, they built a city of 400,000 people. How? They developed Andean agricultural techniques. They grew high-altitude potatoes. They raised llamas and alpacas. They practiced terrace farming. The Pumapunku Temple is one of the greatest mysteries. 100-ton stones cut with millimeter precision, H-shaped blocks, complex channels, perfect angles. Not even a blade can fit between them. What technology did they possess? What tools did they use? How did they lift the stones? How did they transport them? The nearest stone quarry is 10 kilometers away. And at that altitude, in that air, in those conditions, some say aliens did it. Of course, that's nonsense. But the mystery is real. Tiwanaku engineers had incredible skills. Around 1000 after Christ, the city was abandoned. Why? It could be climate change. Lake Titicaca's level dropped. Agricultural areas dried up. It could also be social collapse. The elite class became disconnected from the people. Revolts broke out. The end of Tiwanaku is an enigma, but its legacy is tremendous. The Incas used Tiwanaku's techniques. 3. Angkor, the lost jungle city in Cambodia between 800 and 1400 after Christ. There was the Khmer Empire. Their capital, Angkor, was one of the world's largest cities. 1 million population. 1,000 square kilometers. The Angkor Wat Temple still stands today. The world's largest religious structure. A 200-meter wide moat. 5 towers. Thousands of reliefs. Dedicated to the Hindu god Vishnu. Later converted into a Buddhist temple, the Bayon Temple, with 216 giant face sculptures. Each face looks in 4 directions. Smiling Buddha faces. Mysterious and enchanting. The Top Rome Temple, embraced by giant tree roots. Nature and architecture intertwined. The jungle has reclaimed the temple. However, in the 15th century, the city was abandoned. Why Thai attacks? In 1431, the Ayutthaya kingdom invaded Angkor. Religious conversion. There was a transition from Hinduism to Buddhism. Climate crisis. Monsoon rains changed. First excessive rain, then drought. Rice harvest was disrupted. The water management system collapsed. Angkor remained lost in the jungle for 400 years. Until French explorer Henri Mouhot found it in 1860, no one knew of its existence. Today, hundreds of temples still await discovery among the trees. New discoveries are being made with LIDAR technology. 1911, American historian Hiram Bingham found a lost city in the mountains of Peru, Machu Picchu. Built by the Incas in the 1450s, by order of Emperor Pachacuti, a city 2,400 meters high, above the clouds, 400 meters above the Urubamba River Valley, more than 200 structures, temples, palaces, houses, warehouses, terraces, stairs, water channels, all made from perfect stones. The stones are cut so perfectly that not even paper can fit between them. No mortar, no nails, just stone upon stone, earthquake resistant, still standing 500 years later. But the biggest question is, why was Machu Picchu built? A royal palace? Pachacuti's summer residence? A sacred center? The Temple of the Sun is very important. On the winter solstice, the sun enters through a special window, an astronomical observatory. The Intihuatana stone was used as a sundial, or a religious school. And why was it abandoned? The Spanish never found Machu Picchu. They conquered Cusco but couldn't discover this city. Perhaps smallpox. The diseases brought by the Spanish destroyed the Incas. Perhaps the Incas deliberately hid it to protect it from the Spanish. The purpose of Machu Picchu is still debated, but its beauty is undisputed. The story of Atlantis told by Plato in 360 before Christ is one of history's greatest mysteries. He tells it in the Timaeus and Critias dialogues, a story he heard from Egyptian priests. From 9,000 years ago, a powerful island empire. Beyond the Pillars of Hercules, an island larger than Libya and Asia, an advanced civilization. The capital city consisted of concentric rings, a mountain in the center, water channels around it, bridges, harbors, palaces adorned with gold and silver. A powerful army. They attacked Athens, but the Athenians repelled them. Then the gods became angry. The Atlanteans had become arrogant. Zeus punished them. In one night and one day, with terrible earthquakes and floods, Atlantis sank to the bottom of the sea. Is Atlantis real or just a legend? Some researchers search in Santorini. Could Akrotiri be Atlantis? Some search in Antarctica. Perhaps there's a civilization under the ice. Some search in the Atlantic Ocean, the Azores, the Canary Islands. But the scientific world is skeptical. Plato may have written a philosophical allegory. There's no concrete evidence. Some say Atlantis never existed, but some believe it was a real civilization. We may never know if Atlantis was real, but the search continues. These 10 civilizations lost in the depths of history show how little we know about humanity's past. Perhaps one day all questions will be answered. Perhaps new discoveries will be made. But for now, only stones, legends, and endless curiosity remain.